For Construction Pros, ConExpo 17, Las Vegas Convention Center. This gentleman really needs no introduction when I give you his name, is Ken Simonson, who's Chief Economist of AGC.
Good to be back.
How are
with
you, my friend?
I'm fine.
It's
Glad
good to see you. Well, let's get rid of the elephant in the room right now. What's your take on the infrastructure situation in this country as we sit here today? Where do you think it's going?
Well, I think that elephant never came into the room, and it's not going to show up this year. I would not be counting on getting a lot more money or even $1 more than we expected 6 months ago for infrastructure in 2017. Maybe Congress will get to this issue by the end of the year, but they have a lot coming up ahead of that.
They have a pretty heavy plate, don't they?
They do, and they are so divided that even if the president comes forward with a specific plan rather than just saying, oh, I want $1 trillion, please, but if he says, here's how I want it paid for, here's the kinds of projects I want it to go to, here are the agencies that will distribute it, it'll take all year to write that legislation and another year to actually get the money out in the field.
To get it implemented, we're talking maybe 2019 or 2020 before we actually see some shovel work.
That's right. So my outlook is that yes, construction will continue to grow this year, just as I think the economy will continue to grow, but it's going to be very spotty, very segment specific. And there's a whole lot more uncertainty around my forecast than there was a few months ago on things like that issue, but immigration. Are we really going to have enough workers? If people are leaving the country, where's the demand for housing and schools and stores going to be?
Absolutely.
What's going to happen on tax policy? Will we still have a generous tax deductibility for mortgage interest, for property tax, for municipal bond issues?
So you still withhold some restricted optimism? Are we safe there?
I am still on net optimistic. I think that we're still going to get a lot of office construction, warehouse, data centers still a hot niche. On the public side, there's a lot of school bond issues that passed in the last 2 years. That's going to move forward. Many airports are doing multi-year, multi-billion-dollar projects, but other stuff is slowing down.
One sector I'm thinking about just off the top of my head is oil and gas.
Yeah.
Is that industry going to recover at all from
Very much. In fact, one of the few things that has happened in Washington, aside from a million tweets, is the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission approved some natural gas pipelines that will be multi-billion-dollar projects this year. Once those things get the approval, they go fast. So we have one called Rover that's going from Pennsylvania and eastern Ohio up into Michigan. We have another called the Sunrise that's coming down into the southeast, and some other shorter ones that these will be significant projects. There are gas-fired power plants that are getting going. There's more wind and solar happening. So a lot in the energy area.
Very good. Now you touched on it just briefly here when we mentioned immigration and that situation, but where are we with the worker shortage for construction specifically?
It's acute. It has been something we've talked about in the past, I know, and it hasn't gotten any better from what our members tell us or what I see in the data. AGC of America does a survey each summer on the worker availability, and we do one that touches on that in our Outlook survey at the beginning of the year. Both of those consistently showing about 2/3 of the companies saying they're having trouble filling different craft positions. About half the companies saying they're having trouble finding supervisors or project managers, and that hasn't gone down. We do have companies that are certainly engaging with school districts, with community colleges, with workforce development agencies. More of them are doing in-house training themselves. They're also looking at technology, new materials, methods, machinery that can reduce that need for labor or take someone who doesn't have years of apprenticeship and bring their skills up faster. But it's taking a multifaceted approach.
And if we've had this shortage, at least in my estimation, without an immigration problem, what is it going to be with an immigration problem?
That is my number one worry in going forward about policy, is that if we suddenly stop people from coming in, we deport a lot of people who are here and working, that makes an already difficult situation really acute. Even if a contractor isn't hiring an immigrant, they're going to be competing with some business that's now desperate for the worker the contractor
exactly.
has. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's a never-ending cycle until we can stop that cycle somehow, some way, and find a way to mitigate it.
We need a much more rational immigration policy that says firms that demonstrate a need for workers can bring in somebody who is otherwise qualified to come into this country.
Well, it's always a pleasure that you stop by, and you bring such a great message for all of our viewers here on Construction Pros, and I want to wish you the best of success at the show.
Thank you. Good to see you again.
Ken Simonson, Chief Economist of AGC for Construction Pros right here from ConExpo 17.